Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to the collaborative working to deliver a resilient, sustainable network discussion. I'm Peter Hyde. I'm the Managing Director of Riney, and I'm also on the TKKV Joint Venture Board. We have other guests on the call today. So, Ian, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you very much, Peter. I'm Ian Edser. I'm the Director of Highways and Transportation for the London Borough of Barnet.
Hi everyone, my name is Daniela Pometti and I'm the Operations Manager for the Assets team in Highways.
My name is Roger Eek. I'm the Technical Product Manager for Tarmac in London and the South East.
Obviously, this discussion is around TKJV's delivery of the Barnet TMC. Obviously, Barnet have requirements for a term maintenance contractor. And Ian, would you like to explain your, if you like, your process in reviewing and then ultimately appointed TKJV to the term maintenance contract in Barnet?
Yes, the authority had an existing LOHAC contract which was coming to an end. We'd undertaken a review in regards to what was out there in the market. Through a rigorous procurement process and evaluation process, we concluded back in January of 2021 that the best route to market was the HMPF contract, and to let a call-off contract with Tarmac Kia JV for an initial period of 2 years and 6 months. Now, that might seem a strange contract term, but actually it aligned with a re-contract end of term, which is a joint venture between Capita and the London Borough of Barnet.
Obviously, so from Barnet's procurement requirements, you know, TKJV are now the appointed term contractor. From TKJV's perspective, if I wind the clock back to just give you an overview of, if you like, the strategy around the Tarmac Kia joint venture. Kia, as incumbent on the LOHAC contracts in the south, very experienced on managing the TfL strategic road network. Back in May 2017, Tarmac were lucky enough to be able to acquire the Riney business. Obviously, the Riney business is a large London Borough term contractor. You know, it specialises in delivering term maintenance contracts for London boroughs. Obviously, that along with Tarmac's capability to deliver sort of best-in-class material solutions and sustainable solutions, we discussed with Kia and we agreed that a TKJV joint venture would be a really strong offering and a new offering in the London market. So we bid both the HMPF and stick contracts, and TKJV were lucky enough to be successful on both. Those contracts started in April last year, 2021, and that was after if you like, a mobilisation period and negotiations with the London Borough of Barnet. You know, this wasn't business as usual, and if we could offer something different to Barnet, particularly from a sustainable and innovative solution, then that's what we would do. And you know, I have to say, you know, that relationship really kicked off very early, and you know, also, I don't know if you want to comment on this, Ian, but the arms were open to innovate and try new materials, and I think that really formed the early basis of our relationship, and obviously we'll come on to, you know, what we've considered and what we've delivered. So I don't know if you've got any thoughts on that, Ian.
You know, absolutely. What we were looking for as an authority was a really progressive, innovative partner. And what we saw through the HMPF contract and the appointment of Tarmac Kia into the north area was a provider of that nature, and a provider that could give us the end-to-end solution. So we were interested not just in, you know, the delivery on the ground, so the quality of work undertaken, the responsiveness of the work, but actually how we could drive efficiency in the operation, how we could drive efficiency through fleet and plant and types of equipment, and then ultimately right back at the source in regards to material selection and delivery on the ground. All of those things were major contributory factors as to why the authority elected to go with Tarmac Kia. And one of the other things that we really recognised was the shortness of the mobilisation. Very effective mobilisation. All of us knew that we needed to get on the ground from the 1st of April. There were no ifs, no buts, no maybes. It had to happen, and it did.
Barnet are investing a lot of money through their network recovery programme in the network, and again, following a short mobilisation, it was really all hands on deck to start talking, planning and delivering the programme. So Ian, I don't know if you want to talk about your expectations and results regarding the NRP and obviously the first year of delivery.
For colleagues, the NRP is our network recovery programme. It's our main capital programme. It's been in place for a number of years. And it's a programme that we use to effectively deliver work on our footways and carriageways. So it's almost like a refresh programme. I was probably a little bit conservative when it started out, in the fact that my view is I wanted to have a robust programme that we got on the ground effectively, didn't necessarily have lots of bells and whistles around innovation and sustainability, because what I wanted it to do was to deliver, because what I wanted to ensure was collectively that we were able to put a programme on the ground and we were able to meet the authority's key objectives. I think what I saw very early on with our joint working was that actually we could bring a lot of innovation and sustainability to the table without compromising that initial view. Therefore, we were able to move quite quickly to warm mix type materials. We could start to have the space within the programme to look at potential innovation around alternate materials, sustainability, carbon footprint, all of those sorts of things, which I hadn't anticipated we would have in play in the first year. As I say, I was very much, we need to get on the ground, we need to do the work to a standard, and we need to give the feedback and the confidence in those that had invested into us. So for me, that was critical. And what I've seen through the results is the fact that our carriageway programme was completed by October, bearing in mind that actually we didn't really start until late May, June, because we wanted to make sure that our focus was on reactive maintenance at the beginning. The footway programme is going to deliver within the financial year. It's amazing on some of our streets because of the level of traffic that we have on them. One less day on the network has a huge impact. So all of that sort of came together, as well as the ability to start bringing in alternate materials, and particularly Hilltop, where we're able to trial the rubber recycled tyre material. I think we went from making the decision to it being on the ground within a period of about 2 to 3 weeks, if I got it correct, Peter.
2 weeks in, 2 weeks.
2 weeks. And my understanding is that that's not something you normally experience from authorities. And the critical thing is that wasn't just an officer mandate, that was also a member mandate to get in and trial it and then undertake the evaluation on the ground.
One of your lead members was very positive about the opportunities. So, the red tape really disappeared. We chose a site that was in our programme, and again we delivered, and it was Hilltop, as you said, the rubber modified asphalt.
So including the steel slag and the recycled asphalt planings, the rubber modified SMA contains approximately 80% secondary and recycled material.
Off the back of that, we started thinking, certainly Ian and myself started thinking about the development of a treatment matrix, and probably hand over to Daniel and Roger about how that's been developed and the way forward for our second major programme of investment.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. So following the brief that Barnet were keen to develop a suite of materials which were specifically selected for the challenges that are found on their network, we set up a working group to develop a treatment matrix, and Daniela and her team were heavily involved in the development of that. The London Borough of Barnet gave us a number of road classifications, how they broke down the network in terms of its use, and some other key drivers such as the need for speedy reconstruction, as Ian alluded to earlier. You know, it's a very busy network, and a day's closure is something that, you know, any day we can save is an advantage to the borough and to the highways team. So we looked at single layer materials, we looked at polymer modification to enable perhaps thinner layers or more durability and resilience within the network. And we also looked at the sustainability angle through warm mix and the use of rubber modification, and selecting those materials that were most appropriate for the network and for the type of treatment that Daniela and her team wanted to achieve. And I think, Daniela, you can perhaps add to how the assessment was undertaken.
Yes, thank you very much, Roger. From our perspective as a London Borough, we are looking for materials that tick some of the typical boxes, which would be durability, sustainability, quick laying to minimize disruption in a London Borough, and also we were looking for solution to tackle some of the typical problems we find in our network, which is tar presence and composite or evolved carriageways. So together with Roger, we've been working together in developing this matrix, which actually basically consider our the all different scenarios that we find in our network, both from a sort of like traffic use perspective, like residential, commercial or trunk roads, but also from a condition perspective. So we classify based on the condition of the carriageway, whether it's in good condition or in very poor condition. And TKJV, being an expert on this sector, has used their expertise in the choice of the right material for the right scenarios. So this year, in this 22-23 NRP program, we together with Roger, we've been developing a program based on some condition survey, but also occurring samples. And based on the results of both this survey, we have been able to create a pavement design ad hoc for each one of the roads in our NRP program, in our NRP list, using materials that, of course, encourage sustainability, first of all, and innovation and durability with time.
As Daniela said, we classify the roads in different ways. They're basically split into composite or flexible and evolved roads, and we apply the use of polymer modification for where there is concrete in the pavement. We're also mindful that it is very appropriate over evolved and unbound materials. And where we have a flexible pavement, or we're doing a deeper reconstruction, we may look to introduce products such as the rubber modified asphalt, including the Ultipave R, which is our clause 942 rubber modified offer. And there we're bringing in the sustainability, but also the durability that is associated with those products, and the assurance of the clause 942 in the case of Ultipave R for those busier roads, which take the heavier traffic and have the heavier stresses. And I think all of that really packaged together with the work that had been going on in the background with the council members was something that hopefully, Ian, you would agree, helped to get it over the line, as it were, with with the council.
Absolutely, Roger. I think all the way through the journey, and Daniela talked about the word collaboration. It's collaboration at all levels. So this is not just at officer level, working with key supply chain partners like your good selves, but also at a senior level within the authority and a senior political level in the authority, as to how we can ensure consistency, repeatability, quality of finish, the operational efficiency, and ultimately the durability of what we're doing, as well as the sustainability criteria. So it wasn't just looking at one aspect. We probably looked at sort of like half a dozen aspects in order to ensure that ultimately the material selection, the way the ground's prepared, the way the material is laid, means that we don't have to go back. We have only got a finite budget, just like every other local authority, and we want to do it right. We do want to do it once, and we want to move on to the next piece of the network to work on.
Yeah. So Roger, I mean, putting the plan into practice, obviously, there's a willingness from both parties to progress things. I mean, how have we put the plans into practice?
Well, whilst the discussions were had about the material palette and the treatment matrix was being developed, there was a coring program undertaken on the 29 schemes in the 22-23 program, and that was really a critical part of the exercise for us to understand the condition of the asset before we could recommend a treatment. I can't really emphasize enough the value of a coring program. It can highlight problems, but it can also inform you as to where materials are perhaps in or carriageways are in better condition than expected. And of course, as the local authority has a duty of care for contaminated material, we can identify that through the coring program. So it's really invaluable that we have the right information in order to make an informed assessment and come up with the right treatment for a given scheme. So once we had the core information and we knew the state of the pavement, whether there was tar present or not present, we could then apply the treatment matrix. And we had stress tested the matrix, putting it into practice. I think it proved that it was successful, it was considered, and we did that through a review process, which was carried out with the team from Barnet Highways and RE. And I think, Daniela, you were involved in that. Would you like to cover it?
Yes, thank you, Roger. Yes, I just want to stress once again that even in the creation of the actual program, in terms of dates, we've been working collaboratively with TKKV, both in order to make sure that all the permits are in places, like Section 58 or the advance authorization for works, but also to minimize the disruption in our network. So trying to fit in the program all the roads, taking into consideration whether there were schools or particular amenities or particular even religious festival in the area that might change some dates in the program. And all these have been factorized together, and is only when we as authority work closely with the constructor that a program can be run smoothly throughout the year. If the collaboration is not there, as we found sometime in the past, is more challenging.
Once all those factors have been taken into account, we were able to select what we felt was the most appropriate treatment. We then submitted proposals to the team at Barnet for them to approve, and that really fed into the program of delivery for the 22-23 package. So that that programme will be delivered by Riney, and the programme is now has been developed by the Riney contract manager in line with, as Daniela said, the drivers that affect areas such as specific schemes such as half terms around educational facilities, etc., whether bus routes are present, and all of those kind of external factors. And the programme will commence from the beginning of April 2022. We are confident that it will be successful, and it will prove that the treatment matrix and the work that's gone into providing these durable and sustainable materials to Barnet will show their value, not just in terms of the commercial aspects, but also the sustainability angles, and hopefully that will be in line with the expectations of Ian and his team.
I would align my thinking with that, Roger. Absolutely. It's the work we've done to date, which has culminated in the matrix, which has now got approval from the Environment Committee, is in a place for us now to actually deliver. So from the 1st of April, it's very much hands-on into practice. But one of the critical things is we're not just saying, well, we've done it now, let's move on to the next thing. Actually, what we're going to be doing jointly is benchmarking it, doing the assessments, making sure that we're achieving value for money, aligning it with the council's sustainability strategy and transport strategies to make sure that it is contributing effectively. So we have put in at the moment a notional target around sort of 10% reduction in CO2. We will measure ourselves against that. We will see whether that is achievable. Equally, the return to service, that's absolutely critical. As an authority, pre-COVID, we were having sort of like 35,000 openings in a year. We're currently running probably at about 25,000, but it's a significant number of openings that are occurring on the network. Anything that we do which reduces our footprint as a service is all positive in regards to that, as well as the wider collaboration with other utility partners through the utility charter, which runs in parallel with this piece of work.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've introduced into the matrix a selection of single layer materials to improve that return to service, rather than the conventional binder and surface course 2-part treatment. We can achieve the same pavement strength by using innovative materials in a single layer, and quite simply a 4-shift job can become a 2-shift job, and a 2-shift job becomes a 1-shift job, and that all reduces the disruption to the network. We're also able to deliver more tonnage closer to the handback time by using warm mix asphalts, either in a single or in a 2-part design, because we don't have to wait for it to cool down to an ambient temperature before we can get on with the next bit, or until it could be white lined and reopened. So there are different things that we can do and combinations that we can do, and they are contained within the matrix that Barnet have adopted. And I would also just add that with the exception of one specialist treatment, all of the carriageway material within the Barnet treatment matrix is specifically designed to be delivered as warm mix asphalt. So that really will go a long way to addressing the sustainability goals which the council and the highways team have.
Roger, if I just, one of the really interesting things is to compare our carbon usage or our carbon savings against the traditional methods that Barnet have been using, and we know it is significant, of up to 30,000 tonnes of asphalt going into the network on this next tranche of work, then the savings are going to be significant. So we'll be producing an end of programme carbon saving analysis, and if you relate it to how Barnet were treating their infrastructure improvements previously, you know, it is a significant movement to reducing Barnet's carbon footprint. So that's really positive.
On that type of volume, Peter, you know, 30,000 tonnes of material, we could expect to achieve a saving of in the region of 100,000 kilograms of CO2 over the programme in 1 year. So, you know, it really is a worthwhile exercise, and something that we're passionate about encouraging other local authorities to take up.
Yeah, and I know, you know, we've also spoke about, you know, doing the upfront coring and choosing the right material for the right locations, and obviously durability and resilience. You know, we're expecting, and certainly, you know, Ian and Daniela will be expecting, you know, an increased durability and resilience to the network. And, you know, by spending the time up front and making sure we apply the right designs to the right locations, you know, we would expect to see, you know, enhanced durability, which is, you know, whole life costing. Is, you know, it's all about good asset management, isn't it? In the long term, really, that we're choosing the right materials to last longer, and therefore this early investment should come up with long-term savings.
Yes, and the fact that we are on occasion recommending deep treatments, and on occasion deeper single layer treatments will give Barnet a degree of future proofing in the network, because the next treatment that will be needed in those sites will be a thin surface course, because they could be confident that the underlying binder will be in good condition, and you know, it's a high quality product. It uses a very good grade of polymer modified binder, and because we produce it warm mix, we are not aging the bitumen to the same degree as if we were producing it hot, and it's aging that really makes asphalt fail. It ages, it becomes very hard, and then it cracks, and then that's when the deterioration starts. So there are lots of different things that are being introduced to the network, which will offer value not just in the short term, but for many years to come.
And this is actually the aim of the network recovery plan, which is having maximize the percentage of highways which is treated, and ensure the longevity of the network with the available funds, but also saving on short-term repairs, for example, and aiming at roads and pavements that are safe, reliable, and they are durable in the long term.
That's great. Really interesting discussion. So we'll open this up to any questions.